Okay. 48 hours away. Awesome opportunity for us to have a great evening in Montlake. Looks like the weather's going to be beautiful. Should be a fantastic night. I've heard we have an incredible amount of students that have gotten tickets, even though they're not even in class. So fired up about our students, our faculty, all being a part of this game on Saturday night. Hopefully the entire community shows up and we have an incredible crowd. Obviously, that's what we're looking for to kick off the 2025 season and to really be able to showcase what an amazing place it is to play football here at University of Washington. So excited about that. Tough opponent. Colorado State's a very good team, very well coached. I know Coach Norvell. I know Coach Mummy. I don't know Coach Summers very well, but I do know he's done a really good job. Watch what he did at Western Kentucky last year. Know what he did at Colorado. And I think it was in 18, 19, and 20. So certainly seeing the success that he's had. So we know we got our work cut out for us in all three phases. And we got to make sure we do a great job. A lot of new players. We got new players, a lot of transfers in. So a lot of the guys that we've looked at in different uniforms. But we know that they got a good team. 8-5 last year. Probably one of the better programs, better teams in the Mountain West. And Coach Norvell, I have a lot of respect for. So I know that they're going to be well coached, and we got to play really our best game that we can play. And that's with all three phases, with everybody playing at a high level. But we're excited about it. We've practiced really well. We've worked very hard this offseason, this summer, this fall, to be able to have 12 shots at, achieving our goals and dreams. So for that, I'll leave it up to you guys.
Braden Fowler-Nicolosi's in his fourth year there, third year as a starter. Coach Norvell said having someone with that much tenure is like such a key to go on the road. What do you say to that? And obviously, what are you doing to prepare for someone like that?
Yeah, I think he's 28 starts, 20 something to that effect. I remember recruiting him in 2022, so certainly familiar with him coming out of high school. I think there's something to be said about experience. There's no question about it, especially at the quarterback position. You're looking at the idea of guys that are going, just the idea that DeMond had a couple games that he started, how much better we feel going into this season with 2 starts, let alone, bringing a guy here that has had 28 starts or so. So I understand what he's saying, that there's a confidence there, that he was able to retain him this offseason and have him continue to play for him. And he's a good quarterback. And, Coach Walters and the defensive staff have been talking a lot about all the things that he can do.
You had 4 positions kind of either or to start of the week, at least the sheet that we saw. Have those all been resolved, and can you share the outcomes of any of that?
I think we talked already about Raiden. Will start for us first snap or so at slot, but that doesn't mean, that both guys will play. John Mills will start the first snap at guard, but both guys will play. I can't really remember. Decker and Q will determine who's in the game and what personnel group we go with, and they're both starters. We run a lot of 2 tight end sets. And then I think at nickel, Leroy and Rashawn are competing it out. We'll see what that looks like the first snap. I think Leroy will play, but I expect multiple guys to be playing. I expect that we'll certainly have series where we rotate who goes in. And as we're trying to create depth in this program, we need to get as many people as we can playing, and especially when they're equal in talent or equal at this moment in time.
What does your offense need to do in order to establish a rhythm early on Saturday night?
Execute. Execute the not go behind the chains, not have penalties that can knock us back into get back on track situations, not take sacks that would put us in a negative yardage situation. Try to always stay in the positive side of things, even if it's a If it's a 1-yard run or a 1-yard completion, is better than going backwards. That's how you stay in rhythm and not turn the ball over, right? We've got to, end every drive with a kick. That drive might be a punt. That might be a punt or a field goal or an extra point, but we don't want to end the drive by giving them the ball. But I think that our guys will come out, early on. First game of a college football season, you don't know what it's going to look like. We don't have preseason games, so we don't have the ability to ever go against anybody else. We can't practice against other teams, so we don't know how we compete, how we compare. Really, the last game we played was December 31st, and other than spring games and scrimmages. So we'll see what it looks like, but our goal is to get into some rhythm.
Jedd, you mentioned crossing paths with Coach Norvell and Coach Monty. Where and what are their strengths in your mind?
I have never worked with either of them. I've just known them through the years of different places that I've been or different clinics or conventions that I've worked at. I know that Coach Norvell and I share a relationship with Zach Taylor. I know Coach Norvell was his offensive coordinator at Nebraska. Zach is one of my close friends. Coach Mummy, I've known since 2011 when I was at University of Miami, when he and his dad came and spent a few days visiting us when I was trying to, learn a little bit more about the air raid. I would say that Matt Mummy's dad is one of the greatest football coaches that we've had in this sport that people don't talk about enough. And people don't recognize what he did for this sport. And that when you look at what Coach Leach did it as Coach Mummy's assistant. When you look at Coach Holgerson as Coach Mummy, played for Coach Mummy at Iowa Wesleyan. When you look at some of the things that go into how Mummy has done in this profession, bringing the air raid to Kentucky, I just have so much respect for him. I've known his son for a long time, and I just really think highly of them.
Denzel Boston was named a captain this past week. Can you speak to the leadership that he's brought to the young wide receiver room that you have?
Yeah, he's been fantastic when it comes to mentoring those young guys and holding them accountable and teaching them the offense and making sure they watch extra film and making sure they're on the jugs machine and making sure that they're getting the extra work needed and also not tolerate bad reps. When he wasn't capable of taking the physical rep due to, coming off of his surgery in the offseason, he was the one that was pushing those guys really, really hard to give the type of looks that he would have given. So I think there was no question he'd be a captain. Obviously, the players voted for that, but he certainly has done a great job of making sure that those young guys, and we have a lot of young receivers, follow the lead of somebody that I do believe will be another top wide receiver that leaves the University of Washington.
Colorado State's got a couple of pretty big frame tight ends, 6'5", 6'8". How do you go about preparing for a potential mismatch in the secondary?
Yeah, you've got now it's kind of some experience of going against Quentin Moore, in training camp, so they feel the big body out there. But we, going against Kalecki Latu a year ago, another big body tight end. That we could show him some of the things that he did and some of the guys that were here. But for the most part, the hardest thing in football is to replicate personnel. It's easier in practice to be able to give them looks of scheme. It's much harder to try to say, hey, this is how you defend a guy that you don't have maybe that same body type or frame. But I would say that we're definitely in a good spot in terms of our secondary feels very prepared for this game. In the same way, it's hard to practice going against 2 6'4" corners unless you have 2 6'4" corners, right? So it's, I think that's what we all deal with, and I'm looking forward to the game Saturday night.
Does either Parker have a chance to play this weekend?
Armand's going to play this week.
All right, good.
All right, thank you. We'll see you guys after the game.